Howdy, everyone. Howdy, Lynn. Howdy, Colby. Howdy, Matt.
Good morning.
One short today. We're one short. Short. Yeah. So, anyways. Oh, yeah. Got that up there. How's everyone doing?
Good. Doing well.
Yeah. That gas station guy was pushing me to open a barber shop when I was down there.
Yeah. We need one.
Right? So, anyways, for those of you who are Biblists, you can go to this website, kingjamesbibleonline.org, 1611 Bible, and read along. Or you can find your own online Bible and read along. Or you can go down to the local resale shop, and I'm sure they got 2 or 3 on the shelves. Probably multiple translations, too. You can probably even find a Strong's Exhaustive Concordance there, too. Okay, so today we are starting off in 2 Kings chapter 23. We're going to be continuing reading about Josiah, King Josiah. Remember, he's the first king out of all these kings of Judah or Israel who have actually found the book of the law and realized, wow, we haven't done anything correct at all. So then we go to 2 Kings 24, 25, and then we loop back and start at the beginning of the Kings again with 1 Chronicles 1, right? And 2. If you remember back, as we've been reading through Kings and 2 Kings, it always says, is not all the deeds of this king written down in the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel and Judah? So there we go. We're going to get the rest of the story. We're going to Paul Harvey it. So that, howdy, Rand. Howdy, Heather and Gary. Howdy, Flat Earth. Coffee House. Coffee House. Huh? Okay.
Coffee, that's what I need.
Well, you got a couple of people reading in front of you. Hurry. That. Anyways, let's see here. All right. Well, I guess that's it for now. Let's roll on this. 2 Kings chapter 23. And the king sent, and they gathered unto him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of the Lord. And the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord to walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all their heart and all their soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest and the priest of the second order and the keepers of the door to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal and for the grove and for all the host of heaven. And he burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel. And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the king of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places, in the cities of Judah, and in the places round about Jerusalem, them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem unto the brook Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it to small powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people. And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites that were by the house of the Lord, where the women wove hangings for the grove. And he brought all the priests out of the cities of Judah and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and break down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gate of Joshua, the governor of the city, which were on a man's left hand at the gate of the city. Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat the unleavened bread among their brethren. Verse 10. And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the children of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Molech. And he took away the horses that the king of Judah had given to the son at the entering in of the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan-Melech the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs, and burned the chariots of the sun with fire. And the altars that were on top of the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in 2 courts of the house of the Lord, did the king beat down and break them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kidron, and the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the Mount of Corruption, which Solomon the king of Israel had builded for Ashtoreth, the abomination of the Zidonians, and for Shemoth, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the king defile. And he brake in pieces the images, and cut down the groves, and filled their places with the bones of men. Moreover, the altar that was at Bethel, and the high place which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, had made, both that altar and the high place he brake down, and burned the high place, and stamped it small to powder, and burned the grove. And as Josiah turned himself, he spied the sepulchres that were there in the mount, and sent and took the bones out of the sepulchres, and burned them upon the altar, and polluted it, according to the word of the Lord, which the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. Then he said, What title is that I see? And the men of the city told him, It is the sepulchre of the man of God, which came from Judah, and proclaimed these things that thou hast done against the altar of Bethel. And he said, Let him alone. Let no man move his bones. So they let his bones alone, with the bones of the prophet that came out of Samaria. Verse 19. And all the houses also of the high places that were in the cities of Samaria, which the kings of Israel had made to provoke the Lord to anger, Josiah took away, and did to them according to all the acts that he had done in Bethel. And he slew all the priests of the high places that were there upon the altars, and burned men's bones upon them, and returned to Jerusalem. And the king commanded all the people, saying, Keep the Passover unto the Lord your God, as it is written in the book of this covenant. Surely there were not holden such a Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel, nor of the kings of Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, wherein this Passover was holden to the Lord in Jerusalem. Moreover, the workers with familiar spirits, and the wizards, and the images, and the idols, and all the abominations that were spied in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem did Josiah put away, that he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. And like unto him was there no king before him that turned to the Lord with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses. Neither after him arose there any like him. Notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from the fierceness of his great wrath, wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah, because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal. And the Lord said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, as I have removed Israel, and will cast off this city Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, My name shall be there. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In his days, Pharaoh Necho Necho, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates. And King Josiah went against him, and he slew him at Megiddo when he had seen him. And his servants carried him in a chariot, dead from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own sepulchre. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Josiah, and anointed him, and made him king in his father's stead. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. And Pharaoh Necho put him in bands at Riblah in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem, and put the land to a tribute of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, the son of Josiah, king in the room of Josiah his father, and turned his name to Jehoiakim, and took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt and died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give the money according to the commandment of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and the gold of the people of the land, of everyone according to his taxation, to give it unto Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Zebudah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done.
In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, son of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldees, the bands of the Syrians, and the bands of the Moabites, and the bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant the prophets. Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight, for the sins of Manasseh according to all that he did, and also for the innocent blood that he shed, and for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiachin his son reigned in his stead. And the king of Egypt came not again any more out of his land, for the land of Babylon had taken from the river of Egypt unto the river Euphrates all that pertained to the king of Egypt. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. At the time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his city servants did besiege it. And Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, his servants and his princes and his officers, and the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. And he carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained, save the poorest sorts of the people of the land. And he carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. And all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths 8,000, all that were strong and apt for war, even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah his father's brother king in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that what was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon.
Chapter 25. And in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came with all his army against Jerusalem and laid siege to it. And they built siege works all around it. So the city was besieged till the 11th year of King Zedekiah. On the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine was so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then a breach was made in the city, and all the men of war fled by night by way of the gate between the two walls, by the king's garden, and the Chaldeans were around the city. And they went in the direction of Arabah. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. Then they captured the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, and they passed sentence on him. They slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him in chains, and took him to Babylon. In the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, that was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, the captain of the bodyguard, a servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem, and he burned the house of the Lord and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, every great house he burned down. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls around Jerusalem. And the rest of the people who were left in the city, and the deserters who had deserted the king of Babylon, together with the rest of the multitude, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried into exile. But the captain of the guard left some of the poorest of the land to be vine dressers and plowmen. And the pillars of bronze that were in the house of the Lord, and the stands and the bronze sea that were in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans broke into pieces and carried the bronze to Babylon. And they took away the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the dishes for incense and all the vessels of bronze used in the temple service, the fire pans also, and the bowls. What was of gold, the captain of the guard took away as gold, and what was silver, as silver. As for the 2 pillars, the one sea, and the stands that Solomon had made for the house of the Lord, the bronze of all the vessels was beyond weight. The height of one pillar was 18 cubits, and on it was a capital of bronze. The height of the capital was 3 cubits. A latticework and pomegranates, all of bronze, were all around the capital, and the second pillar had the same, with the latticework. And the captain of the guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah, the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the threshold. And from the city he took an officer who had been in command of the men of war. Five men of the king's council were found in the city, and the secretary of the commander of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. And the king of Babylon struck them down and put them to death at Riblah in the hand of Hamath. So Judah was taken into exile out of its land. And over the people who remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left, he appointed Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, governor. Now, when all the captains and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah governor, they came with their men to Gedaliah at Mizpah, namely Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and Jonathan the son of Kareah, and Sariah son of Tanhumeth, and the Netophathite, and Jezaniah the son of the Maccathite. And Gedaliah swore to them and their men, saying, "Do not be afraid because of the Chaldean officials. Live in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you." But in the 7th month, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, of the royal family, came with 10 men and struck down Gedaliah and put him to death along with the Jews and the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. Then all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the forces arose and went to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. And in the 37th year of the exile, Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month of the 27th day of the month, evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign, graciously freed Jehoiachin, king of Judah, from prison. And he spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat above the seats of the kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiachin put off his prison garments, and every day of his life he dined regularly at the king's table. And for his allowance, a regular allowance was given him by the king according to his daily needs, as long as he lived.
First book of Chronicles. The genealogy from Adam. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Medea, Javan, Tubal, Meshesh, Tiras. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Dithpath, and Togorma. The sons of Javan were Elisha, Terish, Kittim, Rodium. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, Septeka. And the sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush became the father of Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Mizraim became the father of the people of Lud, Enan, Leba, Naphtha, Parthrus, Kashla, from which the Philistines came, and Caphtor. Canaan became the father of Siddim, his firstborn Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, and the Zempharites, and the Hamlephites. The sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arshad, Lud, Aram, Uz, Hol, Gether, and Mishesh. Arpashad became the father of Shelah, and Shelah became the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his day the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan became the father of Almadad, Sheleph, Hazarmetheth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzel, Diklah, Ebal, Abnimal, Sheba, Erther, Havilah, Jobadad, and all these were the sons of Joktan. Shem, Arpashad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Ru, Serug, Nahor, Terah, Abram, that is Abraham. The sons of Abraham were Isaac, Ishmael. These are their genealogies. The firstborn of Ishmael was Nabathah, then Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Dunam, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jator, Nephish, and Kadamah. These were the sons of Ishmael. The sons of Ketor, Abraham's concubine, whom she bore, were Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. And the sons of Jokshan were Sheba and Dedan. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abidah, and Elidah. All these were the sons of Keturah. Abraham became the father of Isaac. The sons of Isaac were Esau and Israel. The sons of Esau were Eliphaz, Reuel, Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zephae, Gatam, Kenaz, Timnah, and Amalek. The sons of Reuel were Nathan, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. The sons of Seir were Lodan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anna, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. The sons of Lodan were Hore and Hormam. The Lotan's sister was Timnah. The sons of Shobal were Elian, Mananath, Ebal, Shephi, and Onim. The sons of Zibeon were Aiah and Anah. The sons of Anah were Dishon. The sons of Dishon were Hamran, Ishban, Ithran, and Cherian. The sons of Ezer were Bilian, Zanvan, and Jachan. The sons of Dishon were Uz and Aaron. Now these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any of the sons of Israel reigned. Bela was the son of Beor, and the name of the city was Dinhabah. When Bela died, Jobab, the son of Zerah of Bozran, became king in his place. When the Jobab died, Hushim of the land of Temanites became king in his place. When Husham died, Hadad, the son of Bedad, became defeated in the fields of Moab, became king in his place, and the name of the city was Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah of Marshakah became king in his place. When Samlah died, Shaul, the Rehoboth by the river, became king in his place. When Shaul died, Balanan, the son of Ekbor, became king in his place. When Balahanan died, Hadad became king in his place, and the name of his city was Pe, and his wife's name was Methabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. Then Hadad died. Now the chiefs of Edom were the chief Timnah, chief Aliah, chief Jetheth, chief Oholibamak, chief Elah, chief Pinon, chief Kenaz, chief Timon, chief Mibzar, chief Megadel, chief Iram, and these were the chiefs of Edom.
First Chronicles chapter 2. These are the sons of Israel: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar and Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, and Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, which three were born unto him of the daughter of Shua the Canaanitess. And the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him. And Tamar, his daughter-in-law, bare him Pharez and Zerah. All the sons of Judah were 5. The sons of Pharez, Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Zerah, Zimri and Ethan and Heman and Calcol and Dara, 5 of them in all. And the sons of Carmi, Achar, the troubler of Israel, who transgressed in the thing accursed. And the sons of Ethan, Azariah. The sons also of Hezron that were born unto him, Jeremiel, and Ram, and Chelubai. And Ram begat Amminadab, and Amminadab begat Nashon, prince of the children of Judah. And Nashon begat Selma, and Selma begat Boaz. And Boaz begat Obed, and Obed begat Jesse. And Jesse begat his firstborn, Eliab, and Abinadab the second, and Shema the third. Nathaniel the fourth, Radai the fifth, Ozem the sixth, David the seventh. Verse 16, whose sisters were Zeruiah and Abigail, the sons of Zeruiah, Abishai and Joab and Asahel. 3, and Abigail bare Amasa. The father of Amasa was Jether the Ishmaelite. And Caleb, the son of Hezron, begat children of Azubah, his wife, and of Jeriath. Her sons are these, Jesher and Shobab and Ardon. And when Azubah was dead, Caleb took unto him Ephrath, which bare him Hur, and Hur begat Uri, and Uri begat Bezaleel. And afterward Hezron went in to the daughter of Machir, the father of Gilead, whom he married when he was 80 years old, and she bare him Segub. And Segub begat Jair, who had 23 cities in the land of Gilead. And he took Geshur and Aram with the towns of Jair, from them with Canath and the towns thereof, even 80 cities. All these belonged to the sons of Machir, the father of Gilead. And after that, Hezron was dead in Caleb Bethphratah. Then Abiah, Hezron's wife, bare him Asher, the father of Tekoa. And the sons of Jerahmeel, the firstborn of Hezron, were Ram, the firstborn, and Bunah, and Oren, and Ozem, and Ahijah. Jerahmeel had also another wife, whose name was Atara. She was the mother of Onam. And the sons of Ram, the firstborn of Jerahmeel, were Maaz, and Jamin, and Eker. And the sons of Onam were Shammai and Jada. And the sons of Shammai, Nadab and Abishur. And the name of the wife of Abishur was Abihail, and she bare him Ahab and Molid. Verse 30. And the sons of Nadab, Seled and Apaim, but Seled died without children. And the sons of Apaim, Ishi. And the sons of Ishi, Shishan, and the children of Shishan, Ali. And the sons of Jada, the brother of Shammai, Jether and Jonathan, and Jether died without children. And the sons of Jonathan, Peleth and Saza. These were the sons of Jerahmeel. And Sheshan had no sons, but daughters. And Sheshan had a servant, an Egyptian, whose name was Jarrah. And Sheshan gave his daughter to Jarrah, his servant, to wife. And she bare him Attai. And Attai begat Nathan, and Nathan begat Zabad. And Zabad begat Ethlal, and Ethlal begat Obed, and Obed begat Jehu, and Jehu begat Azariah, and Azariah begat Helez, and Helez begat Eleasah, and Eleasah begat Sisamai, and Sisamai begat Shalom, and Shalom begat Jechamiah, and Jechamiah begat Elishama. Now the sons of Caleb, the brother of Jerahmeel, were Mesha, his firstborn, which was the father of Ziph, and the sons of Marishah, the father of Hebron. And the sons of Hebron, Korah, and Tapua, and Rekam, and Shema. And Shema begat Raham, the father of Jorkoam. And Rekam begat Shemai. And the son of Shemai was Maon, and Maon was the father of Bethzur. Verse 46. And Ephah, Caleb's concubine, bare Haran, and Mozah, and Gazez. And Haran begat Gazez. And the sons of Jaidai, Regam, and Jotham, and Geshan, and Pelet, and Ephah, and Shaph. Maacah, Caleb's concubine, bare Sheber in Tirhanah. She bare also Sheaph, the father of Madmanah, Sheva, the father of Machbenah, and the father of Gibeah. And the daughter of Caleb was Aksah. These were the sons of Caleb, the son of Hur, the firstborn of Ephratah, Shobal, the father of Kirjath-jearim. Salma, the father of Bethlehem, Hareph, the father of Bethgader, and Shobal, the father of Kirjath-jearim, had sons, Haroe, and half of the Manathites. And the families of Kirjath-jearim, the Erethites, and the Puhites, and the Shumathites, and the Mishrites. Of them came the Zerethites and the Eshtawalites. The sons of Salma, Bethlehem, and the Netopathites, Ataroth, the house of Joab, and half the Manahithites, the Zorites, and the families of the scribes which dwelt at Jabez, the Tirathites, the Shimeathites, the Sukkothites. These are the Kenites that came of Hemath, the father of the house of Rahab. All right. Let's go back from the past to the past.
It's a lot of names. I'm just glad I didn't have to read those.
I know. There's Landon when you need him.
Right?
All right. So I got a whole ton of notes on 23. Really got a whole bunch because Josiah really did a lot. Starting with 1 through 5, he gathers all the elders and people, all of them together, and then purges the temple and puts the priests down. What is your, either you, Colby, or Matt, what does yours say in verse, I think, 5 when it says puts down the priests? I looked that up, and he wasn't putting them to death yet. Okay.
So he deposed, is what I have.
Says he did away with the idolatrous priests.
Right? What? Something woke you up at 3 a.m. Some thing on the wing of this plane. Okay. Anyway. Well, that's a mustache. Okay. Anyways. I mean, it's just a documenting down. 6, there was a grove in the temple.
What?
He took a grove out of the temple.
Yeah.
What's your ESV say in verse 6?
So on the grave, it didn't say anything about a grove. He brought out the Asheroth from the house of the Lord outside Jerusalem.
Okay.
Brook of
That's
Kidron.
what mine says.
Yeah, that makes sense because when we looked up before, we had a thing where one of the translations said grove and the other one said Ashtoreth. Okay, that makes sense. I'm going to go with Ashtoreth on this one. Okay. Verse 7. There's so much in that short little verse.
Right?
First, he destroys the houses of the Sodomites that are attached to the temple or by the temple. And then, what is that? Is that macrame? The women? Where the women wove hangings for the grove. I'm thinking of like these.
They're like houses, like little booths.
Mine says for the Ashereth.
Yeah, mine says wove hangings for the Asherah.
So I'm thinking, you know those macrame plant hangers that were so popular in the 1970s?
The Restored says women, where the women wove houses for the grove.
So there says Ashtoreth, yours says grove, or mine says grove, I guess.
Mine says male cult prostitutes instead of sodomites.
Same, mine's the same.
Okay. So if you think about that, though, it got me thinking about what is one of the things that is praised as one of the what do they call those? The wonders of the ancient world, the 7 wonders of the world, the hanging gardens of Babylon. I don't know. It's just I'm thinking macrame plant hangers and wondering if this was all over Babylon. I don't know. Just something.
Yeah, it's same time period, so it would make sense.
Kind of interesting. Excuse me. All right. Yep, that's interesting too. So, thanks, Flat Earth. Strong's the grove, it means above. Very interesting. That's what I like. Everybody participate. Let's go. Let's go. That. So I think 9. I don't know if you got anything for 8. That 9, I believe, is these priests that were cast out of the high places still did Passover, but they only did it among their brethren, because all that King James says is they did unleavened bread with their brethren.
Mine says the same.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, 11 chariots of the sun, burning the chariots of the sun.
This whole chapter, it's just like they turned everything into like pagan god worship.
Yeah. But he's going through and destroying all of it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we went through and did Hollywood
Or Washington, D.C.
or Washington, D.C.? Same thing. That or New York City. Okay. That was a paste salsa reference. Paste stinks, by the way. Okay. Anyways, paste picante sauce. Now, burn the chariots of the sun. 13 lists a whole bunch of the gods and their altars that were destroyed in the high places. What is it? It's even called the Mount of Corruption, King James.
And it talks about the stuff that Solomon even built.
Yep, that Solomon set up. Milcom, that's also Malcolm. That's, if you remember back in the study for Time's Almost Up, that's the national god, the god of your like the patriotism, right?
Going back for a second, and this
Yeah.
probably all ties in with all these things, but I just kind of looked up, Chariots of the Sun, just to kind of get a little background on it. And it was just where I was looking at was just saying these are typically gifts that were given to the kings of Judah. So I mean, if you look at all these different things that ordain the temple, essentially these are the gifts from all the various gods and all the various religions. This mentions Greek god Helios. This mentions Babylonian god Shamasha. There's, I mean, just all the surrounding cultures. They just brought all of it into the temple and just had this big mishmash of just garbage.
Right. Yep. Totally see that.
Sounds like today what the Pope's doing, bringing all those other religions together, and they're bringing in all those idols, and they're saying, "Oh, we all worship the same God."
It's all the same.
Well, yeah,
Right.
that's what like it is, where God says, "I am God. It is me.
Right.
You follow me." These are just, I mean, it seems like these people just said, "Okay, we'll just grab that, and what I think is best of all these, we'll just pull them all together, and let's just make everyone happy." And yeah, it's very similar to what's going on today.
Very, very much so. You know what it reminds me of?
Oh, I hate
Oh, I hate that.
That's what it is, right there.
exist. Oh,
Look at that. You can't unsee that. Yeah. So why don't you Canadians just stop it? Yeah. It's all in jest. We love you, Alaya.
Medium.
Ali. Okay. Anyways, that. Yeah, man. And it just keeps going, too. But I don't want that stupid bumper sticker. I want back to the scripture. There we go. Yep. And yeah, it just keeps going. Cut down the groves and filled their places with the bones of men.
It seems like from this, it shows that like almost every king kept adding to the idol.
Right. What do we see now?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, look at the speeches given at the political party conventions. Liberty, freedom, freedom to destroy. Okay. Anyways, that I don't have anything until 21, 22, but there's a lot in those verses in between there.
Yeah. Same 21, 22, it really stood out to me. Like when I was reading through this beforehand, just to kind of get to go over this on my own, that absolutely kind of just stood out that no such Passover had been kept since the days of the judges. So you think between now, judges and now, David was in there. David was, king after, man after God's own heart, but it wasn't kept. I found that just to be incredibly interesting.
Yep. Yeah. That Passover to end all Passovers.
Josiah sure isn't talked about a lot. Like, I didn't know anything about Josiah until reading it for myself.
Yeah.
Which I find very unusual, considering everything he does.
Right. It's a repentant, completely repentant heart, and a repentant heart in such a way that he leads his people for a very short time to repentance. It's kind of like Jared Crestman was talking about revivals the other day, and I commented that it seems to me that these big tent revivals that they have are actually intended by our Heavenly Father for only a couple or a few people that attend them. The hundreds and hundreds of people that come in there, they get all rejuvenated for a bit, but then it's like a concert. That was fun. There's only a few people who really have a life-changing experience from it.
Rocky ground.
Right. Yep. And I mean, as we learned in a little bit further in this chapter, it's obvious it didn't take to his sons. His sons didn't take to it. Yep, not at all. Yeah, that was.
It doesn't really talk about like blowback or pushback, from him doing all this, but it just makes you wonder, like how many people were upset about this, and
right.
I can only imagine today if this happened, everybody'd go nuts.
If you destroyed everything that was an idol today,
that would be a lot of destroying.
Yeah, it would take a long time.
In the United States, it would be. You'd only have to destroy the maple leafs up in Canada.
Maple.
Maple syrup. Okay. Anyways, that. What do we got here? And there's a lot in there. I don't have anything down until 26. He verse 25.
That's what I was going to say. 25 is stood out to me, and even to your point, Matt. Like, I mean, I knew who Josiah was. Just whenever I growing up and doing Sunday school and Bible studies, you'd hear about the ebbs and flows of they'd repent and then they fall back into their ways, and they'd repent. And Josiah was brought up as one of those repentant ones, but I guess 25 stood out also. Just before him there was no king like him, who turned to the Lord with all his heart and all his soul and all his might, according to the law of Moses, which I think is very important too. And then even after it says, nor did any like him arise after him. I mean, that puts him on a very narrow group of people. I mean, there's no one before him, no one after him in terms of the kings of and I guess maybe this is a question. Do you is that in regard to the kings of Judah, or do we have kings like all the kings within Israel? Because I know it's split, and Judah in of itself was somewhat more wicked than Israel.
Yep.
How do you
Yep. Well, it says somewhere I think it kind of fills that in. That, anyways, Yeah, I believe it's all because it specifies somewhere from the judges to all the kings. Where was that? 22. Surely there was not holden such a Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel, nor the kings of Judah. So I think that's
It's all combination.
yeah. But then, verse 26, notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from the fierceness of his great wrath, wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah, because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal. And this is, I've seen that in my personal life, where it's like, oh, I better straighten up. Too late. Too bad, so sad. You had 7 million chances before this.
Yeah.
But it all ultimately works to his full will. So thank him for that. I got anything else? Oh, I do. I had to flip the page though. All right. I find it interesting in verse 29. He sides with the king of Assyria and goes up against Pharaoh Necho, who killed him.
Oh, come here.
Yeah, and then 31 and 32, his son Jehoahaz, and we're back to evil again. He only reigned for what? 3 months, I think. Yeah, 3 months in verse 31. He was deposed by Pharaoh in 33, Pharaoh Necho. And then his son, or Josiah's other son, Eliakim, was made king, changed his name to Jehoiakim, and took him to Egypt. I think. Oh no, he took Jehoahaz to Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay. But then again, under Eliakim, Jehoiakim, he did evil, which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Again, so 2 of Josiah's sons, evil.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's continue on with the evil in the next chapter, shall we? Chapter 24 of 2 Kings. Oh, man. Verse 2. That in verse 2, how does the Lord punish them? Or him, right? Jehoiakim. He sends against him bands of the Chaldees, or armies, or however you want to call it. Bands of the Syrians, bands of the Moabites. When you're being invaded when your nation is being invaded by other nations and other peoples, it's a good chance you're under judgment. I mean, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because of the sins of Manasseh.
Yep. Down in
Chapter 4. Yeah. He
Chapter
filled
4.
Jerusalem with innocent blood that Jehovah was not willing to forgive.
Right?
That's striking today too.
Right. Right. But what would people say? They would say, why would he let, why would God let all those poor innocent children perish? Why were their parents and leaders not following the ways prescribed by the Father? Those children are doomed anyways. You want us to chop off your right hand or your left hand? Okay, so this is basically up to verse 14. They're getting taken captive. Judah is now being taken captive and removed from Jerusalem. In fact, all of Jerusalem is being removed from Jerusalem. All the leaders. I find it interesting. What is it? It says, "Save the poorest people of the land. None remained, save the poorest sort of the people of the land."
Well, that was always just look at historically how Babylon captured. They would take the officials, they'd take the smartest, the best at what they did, and they would just the rest of the country would be in shambles, and that's just how they couldn't get that uprising, because the only people that were left were the people that weren't smart, weren't leaders. They were the ones that were the working class essentially.
Yep. That I don't have anything until verse 20. After that. Got anything?
No, I mean, what I was saying, it talked about how they take away, all the officials, all the mighty men of valor, 10,000 captors, the craftsmen, the smiths. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just talking to. That's how they do it. They took the best of the best, they integrated them into their society, they just kind of indoctrinated them, and then that's how Babylon grew.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So in verse 20, "For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon." Right? Verse 19, "He did evil in the sight of the Lord." So he rebelled against the judgment. He was rebelling against Yah's judgment on Judah, is the way I read that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of I see it as a shut up and take your medicine sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they even say that anymore? If you're young and don't understand, you're going to have to look up the history of weird phrases from old people. All right. So 25. 2 Kings.
Nebuchadnezzar lays siege because he was rebelling.
Yep.
And
yeah, Zedekiah gets his medicine. For certain.
and really kind of the worst way.
The last thing he sees is his sons executed before him, and then they pluck his eyes out.
And they don't kill, or it doesn't say they kill him, they just bind him in chains.
Yep. And carry him to Babylon. Yep. That is,
And then they ransacked the temple.
yep. Verse 9 I find interesting too. They leave the common people alone. They burn every great man's house, or every great house. Right? Leave the workers alone.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need those later.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, this is when they broke down all the walls.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, they break everything down and haul it off to
Yeah.
Jerusalem, take all the metal out of the temple. Just
Buy out the gold, the silver.
yep, bronze and brass.
Now they talk about the pillars.
Yes.
That they were so large and so heavy. And I guess I read this a couple of times, and I didn't specifically see that they actually took them out.
Right.
I guess they're just so large.
Right. It could have broke them apart or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Melt it down.
I noticed it specifies the one Solomon built, which today Freemasonry is all about that.
Yeah.
The 2 pillars.
That Ren, they're talking about the brazen sea where they were to clean everything in the temple off to the one side of the altar. It goes back, way back when they built the temple. And that, let's see. Yeah, it keeps going on. Till we get Jehoiachin, king of Judah, comes out of prison, and he gets to kick back with the king of Babylon and all the other captive kings. It's just a little party. We're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Nah. Yep. So what do we got? Let's go. Oh yeah, Chronicles. I didn't take many notes on that. That basically we have a recounting of everybody after the flood up to Abraham, and then an accounting of all his children and descendants, and then an accounting of Esau, and then Jacob, and then all his descendants. And did you happen to get down the meanings of all those names while you were reading them, Matt?
No.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
I noticed that it talks about Abraham's concubine in here.
Yeah. And those children too.
Yeah.
Do you think those children sat around saying, and then he gave everything to Isaac, man. They didn't leave me anything. Or do you think that they like buckled down and made their own life?
I think they looked for reparations.
That, I don't know. I think that'd be in scripture. Of course, you kind of have, when Esau merges with Edom, you kind of have them do that a little later on, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, and I took no notes for that. And basically, this is a deeper accounting of the sons of Israel coming up all the way to David, and then beyond. We get these are the power families of the United Kingdom of Israel. Not yet reunited, but the initial united. All the tribes, we're all brothers, man.
Makes you wonder if in the original language it was much easier to say these names. And just in English, it's just really hard.
Like Fred and Bob and Joe,
Right?
Billy Joe and Billy Bob and Bobby Joe. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot in those. I mean, it's just a lot of genealogy.
Yep. And if anybody in the chat wants to volunteer to go through and find out the meanings of all those names and share it with us next time, we will pat you on the back.
I think that's Landon's punishment for sleeping in this morning.
Right? Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for volunteering, Landon. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
he could have stayed up. I do.
All right.
Young whippersnapper.
Yep. Isn't it too early for brown bottle stuff?
No, it's trilogy. Kombucha.
Mm.
No.
The best one they have besides the sage one with the apple.
Alcoholic-less beer.
It's not enough liquor in there to.
That's a good thing, Landon, because it's Hebrew we're talking about. So, all right. So this is a big one. Very big. Our father's fed up with Judah, drags them off to Babylon. Zedekiah rebels, gets his eyes plucked out. Kind of makes me wonder, you know. I believe there's a case to be made for a lot of judgment happening right now. And there's a lot of organizations of men saying, we don't have to accept that. We can change it. Man ruined it. That's the way they look at it. Man ruined it, but we can fix it.
Well, you go back to the point earlier where it didn't matter, the good that came. It was too late.
Right.
I mean, at some point, we've dug our grave. We've been going down this path for so long that,
Yeah.
punishment's due. But for believers, though, we know there's a better.
Yeah.
There's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody got anything else? What? Nothing? All right. Let's pray out and let these people get back to their resting day. Heavenly Father, thank you very much for this opportunity and fellowship that we've had with one another. And we're very grateful to spend time together in the name of your Son and his salvation that you have given us. And we're very grateful for that. We ask, as everybody meditates on this reading that we've done and think about it throughout the day, that you give your spirit of knowledge and understanding to them and how it applies to us today in the here and now. And there are those who are feeling a little bit sick today. We would ask you to touch them and heal them and comfort them. And those with physical ailments of muscles and joints, all of it, and tummies. And we ask your blessing on it. And we also ask for your deliverance for those who are going to be interacting with the government agencies that they don't want to, and give them peace and let them know that you're in charge no matter what. Thank you. In Jesus Yeshua's name, amen. All right. So everybody, We'll do the next reading this coming Monday, and second day, 2 days from now. And we will dig deeper into the Chronicles. And as we do that, we're still going to be putting out the other series we're doing, the personal protection for the believer. Again, that's only to cover the general concept that the law has in the United States, most of the United States. It doesn't cover other nations, and it doesn't get real into depth of the states where you're really messed up by letting that far. Anyways, love you all. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Colby. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Landon. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.